This is Shipali Gidrawal and you're watching ConsultEase with ClearTax. In this video, I'm going to discuss the important changes which are being incorporated in GSTR 3B, that is the main return of GST. So all of the changes are being divided into 5 parts. So one by one we will discuss all of those changes or the recommendations from the side of CBIC. So while filing the GSTR 3B from the coming month, we will have to take care all of these things, recommendations, changes or whatever is suggested by the CBIC. So first thing which is being suggested is about the declaration in table number 3.2 of GSTR 3B. So as we all understand, table number 3.1 and 4 are very important. So generally it's a tendency in the taxpayer, they generally fill table number 3 and 4 only, and after filling of these two tables actually they can reach at the correct amount of tax they are required to pay. So they just generate the challan and make the payment of tax, and they said that it's okay because I'm paying the correct amount of tax. But now CBIC has put their emphasis that you are also required to fill the details in table number 3.2, which is about the supplies to the unregistered person, interstate supply to the unregistered person, and the supplies to the composition dealer, and the supplies to the UIN holders. So they said that for their settlement between the state, the center and state settlement, the place of supply of each and every supply is very relevant, because place of supply is the formula which is being used to distribute the amount of tax revenue in the between the different states. So this information is very crucial for them, so they have just asked everybody that please fill this information. This is a required mandatory information in the GSTR 3B. The second important thing which is going to make GSTR 3B a little easier to fill is the auto population of the data. So at this point of time the supply is auto populated from GSTR 1, but now on almost every part of GSTR 3B will be auto populated from some kind of already filled data by the taxpayer or their suppliers. So the first table, that is 3.1 table of GSTR 3B, will be auto populated from the data from GSTR 1. Then the table number 4, which is for input tax credit, that table will also be auto filled from the 2B form for every taxpayer from their respective 2B form. So the 2B form incorporates the details of input tax credit which is being filled by the various suppliers in their return. So when a supplier is filling any invoice which is carrying your GSTN number, so what 2B will do, they will accumulate all of those supplies which are being entered in your name by your various suppliers for a particular month, and then all of those supplies will be auto populated in your 2B. So it's a static statement which will never change, right? So that 2B will be auto populated in your table number 4. So from table number 3 you will be able to find out the proper amount of tax which is being payable. From table number 4 you will be able to ascertain the amount of input tax credit which you can take, and by the filling of these two tables you will be able to reach at the final amount of tax payable. But you just need to take care of one thing, that table number 3, it will auto populate sales only, but as we all understand, in some cases where the item is covered under the reverse charge mechanism, we are also required to make the payment of tax on purchases, right? So for those particular items you will have to self declare it. So I mean, when I'm saying it's entirely auto populated, just don't do it that you just open it and file it with the pre-filled data. So if you have some RCM purchases you will have to show it, and in table number 4 also if you have some RCM purchases you will again be required to show them in table number 4 to claim the input tax credit for the tax that you have paid on the purchase. Plus, in case of any import of services that will not be specifically covered by any pre-filled or any pre-information on the portal, so that will also not get auto-populated from anywhere. So in that case also you will be required to self-declare it. Import of goods will also be auto-populated from the bill of entry which we file at the time of import of goods. So when we receive the goods from the import, we file bill of entry, right? So these all data will be auto populated, and now it will be quite easy for you to file your GSTR 3B with this auto populated data. But don't forget the fields which are not going to get auto populated from anywhere. So I think this one update will be very helpful for the taxpayers. Now let's go to our third update. Third update is about 17.5. So 17.5 is the section which provide a negative list, that is the supplies on which the input tax credit is blocked, the blocked supplies, right? So there are many parts of 17.5. So what they said that generally what was expected by the CBIC. They said that you should be showing the entire input tax credit and then showing the 17.5 separately, but in GSTR 3B there was no such space where you could have shown the 17.5 credits separately. So now they want to know the complete amount of input tax credit, and they also want to know the reversal or the supplies which you have covered in 17.5 section, right? So generally what the taxpayer were doing earlier, they just reduced the 17.5 inward credit from the total credit and showing the balancing figure only. Although in table 4 there is also a space for 17.5, but it doesn't affect the eligible credit, so it is not reduced from your total credit. So now they have came up with the different mechanism to show 17.5 supplies. They said that you are required to show it separately so that they will be able to understand it separately. Now let us go to the point number 4. Point number 4 is also related to input tax credit, and that 17.5 thing will be more clear in this particular point basically. But yes, it is not just about 17.5, it is much wider than that. So now they are saying that divide your entire input tax credit reversal into two parts. The first input tax credit reversal is the reversal which can be claimed, right, which you can claim back. So in case of 180 days limit, so we need to make the payment for the purchases in the 180 days, and if we are on the default for this particular provision, we need to reverse the input tax credit. But as and when we make the actual payment to the supplier, we can reclaim that reversal. All right. Also in some of the cases like 16(2)(b), like when the goods are not received or services are not received, but the supplier has entered my invoice into his return, but the goods are in transit. So in that particular case also, you will have to keep it on hold, but on the later date when you will actually receive the goods, you will be able to take it up again. Alright. So in those particular cases where you will be eligible to reclaim the input tax credit reversal which you are making today, and you are making it because of some reason, because of some default which you can make good in the future. Alright. So that input tax credit will be shown in a separate table. In case of the input tax credit reversal where you cannot reclaim that in a later date, you are required to show them in 4B1. In case you can reclaim them, you will show it the reversal in the 4B2. Now when I will be reclaiming that input tax credit, how I will be going to show it in that case? So when you will reclaim that input tax credit, you will show it in table number 4A5 for the reclaim. So it will be a part of your electronic credit ledger, will be credited to your electronic credit ledger, and also I will additionally show it in 4D1 table. So there also I am required to show it. So this is the manner of showing your credits which are reversible and reclaimable, and the credits which are reversible but non-reclaimable. So that is an important disclosure from the side of CBIC, and this is the guideline to be followed by everyone. We need to understand one thing, that the form of GSTR 3B will also get changed because of this thing. Now the another change, that is the fifth number of change, is about the e-commerce operators and e-commerce vendors, where the supplies are covered under section 9(5). So the section 9(5) provide the government a right to notify some kind of services. In that case, the tax will be paid by the e-commerce operator himself, and the vendor will not be liable to pay the tax. So we can take the example of Ola and Uber. So when we are booking an Ola or Uber, the vendor, the driver, he is not required to make the payment of tax, but the company is required to make the payment of tax, that is the ECO is required to make the payment of tax. Earlier there was no such space in GSTR 3B to show or declare these kind of supplies. So now there are two new tables which will be entered into GSTR 3B. So first table will be for the electronic commerce operator who are covered by 9(5), so they will be able to show those supply there. And another table will be the e-commerce vendors, so the vendors who are supplying through those kind of e-commerce operators. So in case of vendors, it will not become the part of their tax liability, but it will ensure that tax liability is to be paid by the e-commerce operators. So this is to reconcile the data of e-commerce operators with the data of vendors. So from that perspective, these two tables are also entered into the GSTR 3B. So these were the small changes which are being incorporated into GSTR 3B, but we need to take care of them while filing GSTR 3B, because at this point of time, see, GSTR 3B is your self-assessment. So don't look at it just as a return, but start looking at it as your self-assessment form. Alright, so any misdeclaration in form can has its severe consequences on you, and I hope you will definitely take care of all of these points while filing your next GSTR 3B. For these kind of updates, you can definitely follow this channel. Thank you so much everyone.